Yo.
But don't make it so you have to scream to get it in. You know what I mean?
Okay. 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 Okay.
Alright, everybody, welcome to Hot Couch Potato. My name is Brent, aka Buop. I'm here with my man's Rick, aka A New Perfect Day.
You didn't know your name at the beginning. You're like kind of stumbling.
I know, I was, man, because I was trying to read. I was trying to read something at the same time.
Who am I?
And at the same time, I was trying to think of a new name for you, man, but I couldn't come up with anything. I think we tapped out on all your names, bro.
Yeah, gotta make it up. Like Bag Fries, it's my next name too.
There we go. Bag Fries 88 coming next week, man.
Woo woo.
But yeah, we are Hot Couch Potato. We talk about video games. We're now on iTunes, man. Making a jump over there. Started on YouTube, going on to iTunes. It's been a complicated and slow process, but we'll be there slowly but surely, man.
Are we gonna start charging people?
Hell no, man. What? I don't think we're talking about anything so mind blowing to charge people for it.
I don't know, man. That sexy voice should be charged at least $1.
No, we're not selling out. We're not selling out just yet. But yeah, man, how's your week been, bro?
Pretty good. We just got back celebrating me leaving a job. Me and a couple other coworkers because our company is kind of shifting over. But since we've been celebrating today with all the free beer and free food, there was no limit to the amount of beer we were ordering. It's amazing, dude. I am half buzzed still.
Regardless, this is about to be the best episode, I think.
Oh, I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about.
We're ever gonna have, bro. It's gonna be the best, man. Well, that's crazy. I know exactly how you feel, man, having quit a job last year, putting in that 2 weeks. It's got to be the most liberating feeling in the world, right?
That's exactly how I feel. It's like, I don't give a shit, dude. Like, they send me emails saying, we're going to need this, this, and this. And I'm like, nope, I don't give a fuck anymore, dude. Peace out.
Well, that's good, man. I mean, it's not for nothing. You've gone as far as you want to go. You got the experience you needed, and it's on to bigger and better things, right?
Yeah, like working with Sony, my friend. Or, I mean, yeah, any gaming company.
There you go. Have a party on the way out the door, dude.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Nice.
I think we're going to celebrate next time. Or next week.
Again?
Actually, yeah.
Actually, yeah. Like I said, party on the way out the door, dude. Can't stop it. Oh, because next week's actually your last week, huh?
Yeah, my last day is the June 30th. End of the month, the closing of this month.
Dang, congrats, man. Just in time for summer, too.
Fuck yeah, dude. I was like, dude, I gotta apply for jobs, but I think I'll just play some games.
Hell yeah.
Just like how we were born to do.
Hell yeah, especially this year, which we'll talk about later, how this might be the greatest year in gaming. Before we jump to that, what have you been playing this week, man?
Well, lately we've been playing, or at least I've been playing mostly, is the Final Fantasy that I was talking about in the previous episodes. Final Fantasy 14, the online, because they just got done dropping out the Stormblood patch, and it's pretty sick with the new classes and all. But I haven't really gotten too deep into the classes, which are the Samurai and the Red Mage. But I've been trying to play catch up because I missed the previous patch, which was Heaven's Ward, and a lot of shit is going down in the previous patch. And right now, instead of trying to go through it, I've been mining. I spent the entire day just mining. And I was like, holy shit, dude, why am I mining? And I was like looking at why I've been mining. I think it has something to do with me trying to farm again. Like, what the fuck, dude? Do I want to be a farmer? Am I a reincarnated farmer? I don't know. Who knows? But it's actually pretty decent. It's not, crazy, but you can just mine ores and there's nothing. There's no convoluted things to it. It's you just click the piece of rock and you hope you mine some ores, and that's it.
So it's nothing too crazy like with Black Desert Online, where you got to time your strikes or do anything like that.
Fuck no. All you have to do is just click away. But that's the thing is, so people don't go AFK. You have to keep clicking for per mineral deposit
Okay.
and
Okay.
stuff like that. But on the other side, I've been trying to catch up with the tank. Playing as a tank, I was relearning how to tank and everything, and with all the new move sets of being a paladin, which a lot of people are saying that paladin is now pretty OP.
Yeah.
And when it comes to defense wise, at least, because they have this new ability where you can guard 100% magic and attack, and the people behind me in a cone will be able to get reduced damage up to I think 85%. I don't have the ability yet since I'm still kind of low level,
Holy
but
shit.
yeah, dude, I
What
was
level
like
does that unlock?
70 max level.
Okay. Okay.
In the game. So hopefully when I get that, I can be able to, be a good tank. But
You're
yeah,
always a
people
good
are
tank, man.
looking to be more tanks, and they need more tanks too. Everyone is a samurai. Everyone is a red mage. So there's a huge dramatic increase in DPS, but I don't know if the queue times is still the same as 30 minutes for all the DPS when you try to queue in for a dungeon.
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely
Oh
is.
God, yeah. Tanks is still 5 seconds. I think the longest I've waited was 8 seconds.
Must be nice, dude. Yeah, man. Because I main Black Mage, and I was trying to do some dungeons for the story mode. I needed to do these dungeons for the story. I legit sat there for half an hour. I had enough time to play Overwatch game. It's that
Oh
bad, dude.
wow!
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. And I was thinking, it's really a blast to play with you guys, to play with my bros again, and at least in the same kind of game, uh, to co-op through a dungeon together. And even though Russ was pretty good at reteaching me um, how the dungeon mechanics works and giving me the confidence to be a tank again, because if he wasn't there, man, I'd be running in blind and just flashing everything, grouping everything together, and getting blamed from all the pressure and all that shit. So,
Nah, you've been doing a good job, man. You've been doing a good job, I think.
uh, yeah, but not great enough. I remember the golden times where I've never lost aggro.
Uh huh.
Uh, but I've lost aggro to one other tank, but he was pretty good. But other than that, like now I lose aggro instantly. It's just crazy. I just have to just keep flashing or keep using my abilities as a tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about you, man? What are you playing?
Oh, I'm on the same train you are, man. As you mentioned,
Woo.
Final Fantasy 14. That's all I've been doing since Friday. That's all I eat, drink, dream about, man. Is Final Fantasy 14. It's getting bad. It's getting bad. I'll be at work and I'll just be looking up glamour and Final Fantasy 14 rotations for the Black Mage. Since it's nothing's really set in stone since the expansion just came out, so the rotations are super new.
Yeah, you gotta design your own rotation
Yeah,
since it's
yeah.
pretty new at this point to see what the optimal DPS you can output, or I don't know. I don't know how DPS works, but yeah, you can create your own combo set, boo wop guide.
The boo up guide, but it's been crazy. With this expansion, they changed a lot of the cross class abilities. So there was this one move called Raging Strikes that I could get from the Bard. It just gives me a damage buff for a certain amount of time, maybe 10 seconds or something.
Yeah,
Get out maybe 3 attacks. They took that away, so I had no kind of damage buff for a while. But did some quests that gave me new abilities, some job quests. Now I have this thing called a ley line, where I put this circle around me, and as long as I'm standing in the circle, all my magic casts faster, and it goes out stronger. And it's fucking amazing, dude. I just like hanging out in my little circle, shooting fire everywhere, dude.
Wait,
And
isn't that the thing where you can like outside the circle and then you can teleport back into that little circle?
no, that's different.
Okay.
That's a different ability, but I know what you're talking about. I haven't messed with that one too much yet. I messed with that one too. But this
Shit.
new circle is crazy, and I think it makes way more sense for a black mage to have those type of abilities rather than that just one simple buff. It was actually really funny since I'm so addicted to Final Fantasy 14, and reading up a lot onto it,
Uh,
and I found out that the director of the game, Yoshi P, he actually plays a black mage. That's why,
wow.
and that's blessing and a curse because since he knows the real small intricacies of the black mage and everything, he's gonna buff it or nerf it that much more closely than anything else, right?
Yeah.
So, and he doesn't want to have the reputation where, oh man, I play a black mage, everybody knows it, so I don't want to make it the most overpowered class in the game, or else people are just gonna blame me,
Yeah.
So
I
I think
remember the golden days where Black Mage was like super crazy powerful, but are they super crazy powerful still?
I think they're up there. I definitely think they're in the higher tier of putting out damage. It's just a matter of me getting back in the swing of things. I mean, I know the simple rotations and things like that, but for the situational stuff, I'm not too familiar with yet. But it only goes as time goes on. And like you, I didn't really play Heaven's Ward too much.
Uh,
But now that I'm just kind of rushing through the story just to get to the Stormblood content, it's pretty crazy. Uh, you can tell they really thought about the story in this one, man. For a guy that likes story, that's saying a lot. Um, they're surprising me with a lot of the things that they're doing in the game. So definitely not complaining about running through the story mode. Plus you level up way quicker doing the story mode missions than anything else. So
Yeah, and I like how they changed that certain animations of certain abilities. Like I
mm,
remember all of my abilities would kind of do the same animation for buffing, but now I can see where they're making all of the changes, making the cuts, and I didn't like the fact that we had to level up different classes to get their abilities. I like now how it's kind of shared, even though they pulled things from the tank like provoke. Uh, that was the paladin skill, and now all tanks share that
hmm
resource.
yeah. I kind of like that actually.
Yeah,
That way you can experience what it's like to be another class for a little bit. I mean, you have your main, but you really want that ability that someone else has. I don't know, maybe because I've done it a couple times with, I had to get that bard skill, and then I had to get a couple white mage skills. So I thought that was cool, just so you
yep.
weren't so pigeonholed. Um, yeah, they definitely streamlined it. Sure, sure. Um, but before this turns into a Final Fantasy 14 podcast,
That's
man,
how I was
we'll
like kind of stopping. I was
we'll
like, oh yeah, we're fucking going way off.
we'll definitely we'll keep it moving. We'll keep it moving, and we'll finish where we left off last week with E3. We tried to pack it all in one episode, but that definitely wasn't happening, man. One thing I did want to mention that we missed from EA was A Way Out. You remember this game?
Nah.
It's
What is that game about?
it's almost like Prison Break, the game, where there's two people that are in prison, and the whole game
Oh
is
yeah,
completely
yeah.
co-op, and it's just the story of them cooperating, getting out of jail together, and I guess they're making things right with their family. I don't know what the complete story is, but it looked great. It looked awesome on the big stage at EA, man. And I guess, like I said, the whole story you have to play co-op, and the developer wants you to play it in person with somebody rather than online. I don't know what that's all about. Because I think
Uh,
online play would be perfect for it.
Yeah, like then that would mean that all your friends would have to come over to be able to co-op or continue the story or where you left off. And that was going to lead me to my next question: is like how does the co-op work? Do we go by certain sequences where it will be just basically is it just me and you that has to play through the entire story, or can you bring somebody else in at certain parts.
That I'm not positive on. I don't think they've even gone through and ironed out those details yet. Um,
Uh,
but I'm assuming that they would let people just jump in and out. Maybe it's a matter of you have to have had unlocked the level beforehand or something like that, or maybe as long as someone who's hosting it is at that level, you can join them. I'm not too sure what they're thinking about doing there. The biggest thing that interests me is no matter what, even if you're playing online multiplayer on there, it's going to be split screen. You know, you can see
yeah,
what your partner's doing at the same time you see what you're doing, and it's not a split screen that's just split vertically down the center of your TV. Sometimes it goes horizontally, so one person's playing on top, one person's playing on bottom. It's kind of crazy, man. It's really ambitious, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. I played, what was that game called? Brothers, I think, A Tale of Two Sons, the game that the developer made before this. And that game was fun. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they expand on that and put it into, I don't know, more AAA game. You think?
yeah. I hope like the choices you make in the game too. Like if you forget to get a toothbrush, which might turn into a weapon later, it kind of impacts the story or how the story plays out. That would be pretty interesting. And I hope there's like different methods or different ways to escape the prison. One through like a sewer system, one through climbing all the way up to the roof, or just the way that the choices we make individually would impact both of us in the overall end.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a given too from what they've shown. Depending on which character you use for a certain task, things change. One's more violent, one's more passive. So, where if you need to get past a guard, one guy would beat them up, the other one would simply give them a pack of cigarettes to look the other way for a second. So, I think it's gonna definitely have those changes. How it affects the outcome, who knows? But definitely excited for that game. I'm excited for us to play it together, man, and for me to ditch you in jail or something.
Yeah, but I'm gonna ditch you first.
That's what I'm saying. Or for you to, drive off in a car while I'm trying to run after you, dude, getting shot or something. I could totally see that happening. There's gonna be a deja vu.
You remember that time when I beat you in Pokemon?
Oh yeah.
5 years old.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm definitely gonna leave you in the car.
I remember you cannot drive in video games.
No, that's true. That's true. Wait, what game was that? Was that just GTA 4?
I think it was GTA 4. I know that one time in GTA 4 where I was new. I was basically new, and there was 4 of us online, and I was the driver. And it was like cops and robbers or something. You had to get away,
Cops
and we were
and
the
crooks.
robbers. Yeah. So I remember like not even 10 seconds of trying to get away. I ended up flipping the car within that 10 seconds. And then I think it was Marcel and you're like, what are you doing? You can't drive. I was like, oh shit, dude. Yeah, I cannot drive for shit.
Man, that was shout outs to Grand Theft Auto 4, man. As clunky as that game was, I mean, Grand Theft Auto was still kind of clunky, but with that game, that had to be the best game mode ever. Cops and crooks, man. Where basically you had to protect a VIP as the crooks and take that person to a helipad or a boat dock and just get them out of the city, Usually this involved driving from one end of the city to another just to get to a helicopter or something. And then another team would be the cops, and they would chase after you and try to kill you,
Yeah.
That was seriously the best game mode. I'm kind of upset that's not in Grand Theft Auto 5, man.
Yeah. I was mentioning to also, I think it was Russ and Alan, like they should have a Batman version. So, the good guys would be the Batman, and you're like chasing the bad guys, but you're the crook, and you're actually just like a regular crook trying to get away from Batman in a Grand Theft Auto environment. You know, like you go through a building and then everything goes quiet and everything goes dark and you just got to run away from Batman and see how long you can last without getting caught. Um, but yeah, I think that would be a cool game in itself.
What? That actually sounds like an amazing game.
Yeah, like you're just like a regular, like underling for the Joker, and how long can you survive without getting caught by Batman?
So,
Basically.
you've heard of the new Friday the 13th game, right?
I haven't. What's that one about?
Oh, remember that game we played, Dead by Daylight?
Uh,
It was a long time ago. It was almost a year ago. I think it was in beta. But basically, there's a monster, right? And then there's 4 players, and those 4 players have to sneak around the map and turn on generators so they can open this electrical door or something.
Oh, I remember that fucking scary ass motherfucking game, dude.
Yeah, but that's how, what you're saying right now about the Batman game, that's how I'm envisioning it, where there's maybe 4 or 5 of the minion characters, right?
Yeah.
And Batman's in the building hunting you, so you got to go around and maybe set up traps or just find the quickest way to the exit. You know what I mean?
That would be fucking sick.
Holy shit. Dude, patent that right now, trademark. You heard it here first on Hot Couch Potato, the Batman multiplayer game where you play as the villains and one person plays as Batman. Holy shit.
Boo up, A New Perfect Day. Yep, we got that shit locked down.
What? That would actually be a fun game.
Yeah,
The only thing, though, which is the same with those games, is Batman's going to be overpowered, right?
Yeah.
I
would say he would probably catch you in the end, but I don't know. Maybe you can like be able to escape and then live another day to commit another robbery.
Yeah, because
that's how you move up in ranks or something.
Yeah, because that would be super tricky. I think that's the problem that Friday the 13th is running into. Jason is super powerful, and it's similar to Dead by Daylight, where there's a monster, except I think there's more than 4 people that run around. I want to say it's maybe 8 or something. And the games I've seen, Jason always wins. So there's got to be a way to prevent Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, You obviously won't be able to fist fight him, but like I said, setting traps or flashbangs or something to throw him off.
Yep.
Dude, I kind of want to play that game right now. Shit. That'd be cool, man.
Yep.
You ever played The Matrix? The Matrix video games on PlayStation 2?
No. Were they pretty good?
They're alright. I was a big fan of the movies back in the day. And the way The Matrix did it is everything was connected, from movies to the video games. They were all connected. They were all in the same story. So in the video game, you play as Jada Pinkett Smith and the Asian dude. I forget what the Asian dude. But they're captains of another ship,
Uh-huh.
And then there's parts in the game where you run into agents, and you can't fight them at all. No matter what you do, no matter what stick combo you do, they'll always block it or evade it or whatever. And that's what I imagine fighting Batman's gonna be like. Even though you're this guy swinging on him and stuff, he's just always gonna block
you. Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, long enough for the boss villain to come in and distract Batman enough where he can run away.
Yeah, maybe that's it, dude. Maybe you just need to distract Batman long enough for Two-Face or the Joker or Mr. Freeze to come in and distract Batman, and then that's when you really get to escape. You know what I mean? Maybe you have to do these certain tasks to call out the boss to distract. Oh my god!
Yeah, dude, bro.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's crazy. If we see this at E3 next year, I'm gonna cry, man. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, this is the idea. I'm buzzed as shit.
No, but it's legit the best idea I've ever heard about a new take on a superhero video game. Especially now when we got Spider-Man looking like Arkham Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of similarities. I think that would be a cool take on it. If anything, it doesn't even have to be its own game, right? It could be a multiplayer mode in the next Arkham game.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That'd be crazy, bro.
Dude, that'd be crazy if you have like 4 of your buddies and you guys are all just like the underlings and who's gonna get caught first by Batman?
Yeah, yeah. Oh wow, dude. Yeah.
Oh,
We gotta find a way to make. We gotta email that to Rocksteady or something. So dang, I can't believe we went there all the way from A Way Out. But anyways, that's what I feel we missed. Is there anything you think we missed about E3?
Not that I can list off the top of my mind. I think they're gonna actually open it more to the public next year.
Uh-huh.
So, the only thing I wish, like we were mentioning, is just more indie games and the organization, more traffic flow where everybody can be able to check out all the games without having to wait into a really long line to play all these games. And then I was thinking too that the press should be able to play all these games like a couple of days earlier before it's actually open to the public. So that way it gives them the opportunity to try out things and reduce the lines. And
True.
they deserve to be there. They're the ones who were there originally, and I don't want to make them feel like the public is trying to take over, just like how Comic-Con is, where the movies came out, and now it's not even about comics, it's about just all movies. And then the comic people got pushed to, I think it was like the second floor, or, and things like that.
Yeah. No, I feel you. This year was definitely a learning experience for them. Can only get better from here. So, yeah, man. I think, wow, we are finally done talking about E3, dude.
that was like only 5 minutes, and the rest was all Final Fantasy and the new game that we're gonna
Well,
make.
considering we talked about it for a whole hour and a half last week,
Yep.
That's fair. But it deserved that coverage for sure. The only thing I want to try and figure out next year is trying to get into a press conference.
We have to be press, I believe,
Yeah.
or maybe work for another game company to be exclusively invited.
Yeah. We got to figure out something. Try and get in a press conference. I mean, even if it's, just, I don't know, Ubisoft's or something, just to be in there would be cool. Because as lame as the Bethesda press conference seemed, from reports I've heard, they actually had that Bethesda land. They built it, So there was an area for Prey, there was an area for Doom, and they were giving out free food. I think someone said they were giving out free In-N-Out burgers. There was free champagne everywhere. I know, man. I know. So, as lame as it looked online, being there in person must have been super cool, to experience Bethesda land like that.
Yeah.
We got to make our way just to see those perks that not everybody else sees and goes unreported on, right? I mean, that's the reason we went in person here too. So we got to find a way. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. I think it's gonna take 5 years, but yeah.
Dang, dude. No. And this is coming from the guy that always says our podcasts are gonna be a half hour long. So don't believe it. Don't believe it for a second.
By the time we're old, we're gonna be at E3. Yay!
Oh man. So moving away from E3 again, great time. Hope they improve. Try to make it again next year. A lot of stuff got announced, and surprisingly, a lot of stuff got announced to be released this year. And this year's already been stacked. I mean, even you and I, we have backlogs of video games. Oh, that should be something we talk about one day, our backlogs. But we have backlogs of games that we still need to play.
20 games of backlog games, yeah.
And it's only getting worse. You know what I mean? And with what the rest of 2017 looks like, this might be greatest year in gaming, dude. And let me first go over what's going to get released this year, what has been released this year, and then I know you have an argument against it, so we'll hear that out after. Okay. So this in 2017, all these games got released, right? So in January we had Gravity Rush 2, Kingdom Hearts came out. Didn't you pick up Kingdom Hearts?
No, I haven't played. Yeah.
Resident Evil 7 came out, which was crazy. I think that sold VR to a bunch of people for Sony. Yakuza came out. Neo came out, which we balled out on, man. We played that. You already beat the expansion or the DLC. I haven't even beat the second level yet. I don't think in that. So Neo came out. For Honor came out, which has been hyped for 2 years up until its release. Horizon Zero Dawn came out in February, and that is having a DLC that just got announced at E3. In March, Nintendo Switch came out. In hand with that, Legend of Zelda came out. Nier Automata came out. Dead Rising 4. More Kingdom Hearts came out. I think they came out with 5 different Kingdom Hearts this year. That's how crazy.
Damn.
Dark Souls 3 DLC came out. Battlefield 1 came out. Moving to April, Persona 5 came out. Parappa the Rapper came out, the remastered version, which we got to see firsthand at ESX, which I still can't believe that.
Yeah.
I have to finish that still. In May, Injustice 2 came out, which is a great game. I just finished watching someone play through the story on that, and might be the greatest story in any fighting game I've ever seen. June, Tekken 7 came out. Elder Scrolls Online came out. ARMS just came out last week. Stormblood came out this week. Crash Bandicoot's coming out at the end of the month. Remake. Do you even know that was coming out so soon, dude?
No. I just knew there was a remake in development, but dang, dude. I guess there's so many games coming out.
Yeah, right. You kind of lose track of it. So in the future, there's going to be a Final Fantasy 12 remake coming out next week. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think they announced that like last year, but I didn't know it was coming out this month either, man.
Yeah. Well, in July.
Oh, okay. But,
there's gonna be at the same time a Fable card game, which RIP Fable. Fable was a great game, man. Did you play that on Xbox?
No. Did you?
Yeah. I played both the first and the second one. That was a good action RPG.
They're coming out with number 3?
No, it's gonna be, Gwent from Witcher 3.
Yeah.
That card game. It's gonna be a card game based on Fable. So as much as I want a Fable 3, it's not gonna happen, dude. I think they shut that studio down. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we're not gonna see that. Uncharted Lost Legacy is coming out in August, along with that Rabbids Mario game. The Life is Strange, which I still gotta play. I got that for free this month from PlayStation. I haven't popped it in.
Yeah, I heard that was a super good game, but I still haven't played that either.
Yeah, backlog, man. It's only gonna get worse because Life is Strange 2 is coming out.
Golly, we gotta finish all these games,
That's
man.
what I'm saying,
just
man.
Marathon through them all.
And this is just August, so we got 4 more months. And in 4 more months in September, we already know what's coming out. Destiny 2. So it's game over for us. It's game over for us in September. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite comes out. Pokemon comes out. One that I put in here just because we've been waiting so long is Cuphead. I think I'm going to get that on PC. It's kind of like a side-scroller bullet hell kind of game.
Yeah, I really want that game too.
Yeah. With your experience. What was that game called? Silk Road? Is that what that game was called that you talked about?
Oh, Silkworm?
Silkworm, there you go. With your experience in Silkworm. I expect you to beat that first day, man. And then October is even crazier. Middle-earth Shadow of War is coming out in October. Evil Within 2, South Park, which got delayed from last year. That's coming out in October. Assassin's Creed Origins, Super Mario Odyssey coming out in October already. This is a game that we didn't know existed 4 months ago. Less than 4 months ago. Wolfenstein is also coming out. November. Call of Duty World War II is coming out. Ni no Kuni 2 is coming out too. Star Wars Battlefront. I don't know what you got up your sleeve, man, but this has to be the greatest year in game.
Okay, I didn't do my homework at this point.
And on top of this, and I'll just throw this last part in there. On top of this, a new Xbox is coming out too in December.
Yeah, I didn't really do my homework, but the games that I was thinking of, or at least the year, that I was thinking of is that it was like I think maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago. This is when Assassin's Creed 4 came out. This was like all consecutive too. It was like Assassin's Creed 4, Little Big Planet 2, Batman Arkham City, Witcher 3, and I think Metal Gear Solid 2 as well. Um, but I just remember like one year, it was like during the fall where a bunch of games were coming out every month, and it just didn't give enough time for people to be able to play all these games. There's so many games to play, but so little time, and maybe when Red Dead came out, I'm not sure. I think Red Dead came out in spring, so that really didn't matter.
Wait,
Uh,
which year though?
yeah, see, I don't remember. I just remember it was like a full fall and winter of games, and everybody was like going crazy because there were so many games coming out. But it was just a matter of time, a matter of preference of which game you wanted to play.
Uh huh.
Uh, but yeah, the most memorable E3 I had, I don't think it was the best, was the announcement of the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Um, I remember Xbox One conference where there were so many games they're releasing, and they're describing the Xbox One console, and it's all of its features like the DVR and the watch TV and watch sports and all that stuff. But I remember that the audience got turned off by the ability to share games. At the time, in order to share a game on Xbox One, you had that person you were lending to borrow the CD, they had to pay a fee in order to play that game, to borrow that game and play the game. So I think it was like $5 or $10 or something like that. And then I remember PlayStation had their conference last, so they created a commercial, and this commercial said how to share a PlayStation game. Do you remember that commercial?
Yeah, this is the most troll thing I've ever seen, man.
Yeah, and I was thinking it was going to be super elaborate. It's going to be something similar to the Xbox where the person has to pay to play the game, due to copyright infringements and all that. But it was just a guy or the owner of the director, producer of PlayStation, handing over the game to his colleague. And that was like the way to share a game. So it was the most trollest thing I've ever seen, and I remember that year. And that was the year that when they both released in fall, like it was really good. Like all the games were great. The consoles were super great, both of them at least. Um, and I just remember it being the most memorable year because everybody was picking up a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One. They're moving on to the next generation consoles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I heard that PlayStation won't be releasing the PlayStation 5 anytime soon or competing along with the Xbox One X in regards to future content since they just got done releasing the PlayStation Pro. But yeah,
Yeah,
those games were, or that year was the most memorable to me.
and I hear that. That says a lot. At least when you mention the PlayStation 5 portion, that Sony's not thinking about releasing PlayStation 5 anytime soon. Um, Speaking of that, I think they've mentioned it before where they just want to concentrate on games. You know, as gamers, all we're worried about is playing the latest and the greatest games that come out, right?
Yeah,
I think that's where Microsoft had a misstep, where they tried to make the Xbox One just a complete entertainment center where you can plug in your cable, plug in your VCR, DVD player all into your Xbox One, so it all ran through there.
yeah,
That's definitely where they made a mistake. You know, gamers don't really care about that. The average person might, but that's not your market, man. You want to get people that are playing games to buy your system. So I think that that's good on Sony. Let Xbox do their thing, but Sony's library is unbeatable right now, and as long as they keep concentrating on that, it's only going to get better, right? But I
Yeah,
think that says a lot for sure.
yeah, I remember too. They're doing this because they learned their lesson from the launch of PlayStation 3.
What happened
Uh,
there?
I I remember when both I think it was the Xbox 360 released during like around Christmas time, and then about 6 months later, the PlayStation 3 released their console like
Hmm.
around summertime. But they were like both competitive. At the time, Xbox 360 only had an HD player and PS3 had a Blu-ray player, but PS3 was losing. And the reason why they were losing sales and weren't able to sell a lot was because they were so focused on the console, they were not focused on the games, and that their library at the time was not huge. There were so many games on Xbox 360 during launch, but there were so little games on PlayStation 3 where they had a rough start with the PS3. So that's why like most of the generation or the population was sticking with Microsoft because all of the
Hmm.
game content, everything was pretty exclusive to Xbox 360. All of the developers were saying that was a more easier platform to develop their games on
Hmm.
versus the PlayStation 3, which was pretty intricate. So they after a while they learned their lesson like pretty hard, and when the PS4 came out, that's where they won, or they had a good start at least for indie developers because they were saying like this platform, this PS4 hardware system is designed to be easy for all of the indie developers to invite exclusives, to invite people to focus on games, to be able to make all of their content, um, you know, on the PlayStation 4, no problem.
Hmm.
And Xbox One was focusing more on the hardware, so they were going the route PlayStation 3 was going. They were focused on getting TV onto the Xbox 360 where it's interchangeable, which is pretty cool. And but they were focusing on the Connect,
Hmm.
and then that's where all the exclusives started going over to PlayStation 4. There are some for Xbox 360, but not as prevalent as it was before during the times of Xbox 360 and PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 3. So
Yeah, I hear you for sure. I didn't realize that because for me, as I mentioned way back ago, when we first got a PlayStation 3 at my house, I didn't know. I really wasn't gaming too much at that time. It wasn't until Grand Theft Auto 4 came out, but that's crazy that PlayStation did make those mistakes. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention at the time, but I do remember the borrowing game thing. That was the most troll thing I think I've
Ye-
I've ever seen.
that was the most crazy thing too for Xbox to, or at least Microsoft to pay or charge people to borrow a game. I was like, where did their pricing model come from?
Yeah, and the crazy part is, at least to me, as wild as the uproar was, the digital only games, I don't think the market for that suffered so much. And those you can't really lend out like that. So
Yeah,
that's interesting. I wonder what changed in people's psyche. Maybe, I don't know. I feel it's the same thing as if people's attitude towards pre-ordering or in-game transactions, right? Where everyone says don't pre-order because you don't know what you're getting yet. Only buy the game after hearing reviews, something like that. Or don't buy in-game DLC, or else it's gonna just promote the behavior, and every game is gonna have downloadable content you gotta pay for now.
yeah,
As much as people complain about it, companies are obviously making enough money to keep doing these practices. That's kind of wild. I wanted to should look into more what the psyche is and that, and why there's so much atrocities. The gaming has changed so much. I've heard it mentioned that gaming's not a product anymore, but a service. where you pay more over time rather than just one time, you know?
Yeah, and
So,
I think that model frustrates me the most is like I know there's a lot of games out there that only release part of their game in order to, and then to play the rest of the game, you gotta buy their DLC.
mhm.
But it turns out that the content was on the disc the entire time. It's just a code to unlock that portion of the game.
Are we
And
talking specifics here, man? You can say the name, dude.
Destiny.
Wait. What in Destiny?
So I believe they found code for the next strike and the next raid for Crota, but they patched it where they're unable to cover that. So the Crota DLC was already on the disc,
Oh, I didn't know that.
but you just had a code, and all you did when you enter the code, it unlocks the privilege to be able to play that game.
Uh-huh. I thought you were gonna take that in a totally different direction. I thought you were talking about Mass Effect.
Oh, what they did that? Yeah, probably. I don't know. I know. I think Battlefield does that a lot too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, in one of the Mass Effects, there's a ally character that you can have, an ally NPC that I think you got only if you pre-order the game specifically from GameStop. I don't remember the specifics, but um, yeah, you only got a code for that character um, if you pre-order the game or whatever. But that character had so many conversation options. It had something to say no matter what mission it was in. So it's ingrained in the game. People had a hard time refusing. This isn't just a DLC character. This guy was already in the game. You just locked him behind some code, you know?
Yep.
And I kind of feel your frustration too. But at the same time, consumers aren't doing anything to deter that behavior. People are still paying for it. So I'm
Yeah.
not going to lie. I buy a bunch of loot boxes for Overwatch. I've bought silver in Destiny. So
Yeah. Yeah. The DLCs. I think that's what gets a lot of people, and the pre-order bonus, the in-game bonus. So, like for example, a game that everyone really looks forward to. I think since they're playing on, like how gamers love to collect things, they're playing on that trait. So
mhm. The completionist in everybody.
yeah, that collector side of them. They know that a lot of gamers like to collect things, and they find that if they don't pre-order the game, they're not going to get that content ever. So they think, okay, what's the loss here if I only put $60 down, which is the total cost of the game, to get that extra exclusive pre-order bonus, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and then their mentality probably might be, if I don't like the game, I can always return it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. On the other side of things, there are some companies that are good at it. I mean, Rockstar always has great DLC. Um, you could tell with Grand Theft Auto 4, they had the Ballad of Gay Tony, Lost and Damned, just completely different side stories set in the same world. In Grand Theft Auto Online, they got all these expansions coming out for that. Own a Yacht, I think now they have gun running. Red Dead, even, they came out with a DLC where all of a sudden it became a zombie game out of nowhere. So
Yeah.
all this griping put aside, there are some companies that do it right. The Witcher as well. They don't just come out with bullshit DLC. I think Witcher 3 had some expansions that were crazy, better than the main game from what I've heard. So there are some companies that do it pretty well. We went way off track with what might
That's
be
exactly what I was
the
thinking. I was like,
greatest year
what the
in
fuck
gaming.
were we talking about again?
So, from everything you said, I think you kind of reached back with those when PlayStation 4 was released. When was that released? I'm gonna look it up right now.
Probably when we were like 12 years old.
Okay, PlayStation 4. You're tripping, dude. You are
Back
tripping.
when we were your youngsters
It was
back in the day.
It was 4 years ago. They got released in 2013, and then I want to say Xbox One got released a week later, right? Because
Yeah.
it was super close together.
Yeah.
So okay, maybe 2013 was a crazy year due to the fact that we had two consoles come out such a short time span of each other. Um, what I remember before, I think 360 came out a year before PlayStation 3 came out.
Yeah.
Um, so okay, all that put aside, I think you're calling 2013 the greatest year in gaming. Is that fair?
Woo, yeah. I
Okay.
think it is. I just remember that commercial, and I got so sidetracked.
No, it's all right, man. That was definitely interesting points about how gaming industry has changed. Um, I've also looked at some highlight years just in case you did your research and I had to argue it. But some standouts from previous years. 2011 was kind of a crazy year. Arkham City came out. Skyrim came out, which is still selling apparently, man. There's
Yeah.
25 versions of that game out right now.
Oh god.
Dark Souls came out in 2011.
Yeah, see, I think it might be that year when the one I was mentioning where all the games came out.
Mm-hmm. So all this stuff though, this is still PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 stuff. Let's see, Assassin's Creed Revelations came out.
Yeah, I
Uncharted
think it
3
was
came
that
out.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff came out during that year too. LA Noire too. You know what? I specifically remember when we got LA Noire. Well, I won't say we. I specifically remember when you bought LA Noire and you just gave it to me. I was like, fuck, man. Because I know I really wanted to play that game because it was a Rockstar game. And
Yeah.
I was reading up on all the crazy facial capture animations they were doing. Turned out to be low-key one of the greatest games ever, man.
Yeah, well, I didn't finish it because I sucked at reading people's expression. I was calling everybody a liar. I was like, "You're lying to me."
That's what made that game so great. You know what though? After a while, if you play for a while, it's super obvious, man. It is way obvious. You just gotta look in their eyes, and if they twitch it a little bit, lie. And as long as you have the evidence to back it up, then you're good, man. I mean,
yeah, some of these twitches, you had to like stare at them for a full minute.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure. I remember in one of the DLC, there's this old man who's just so smug about talking shit about people, and he's just selling this guy out, just snitching on him every which way, and he has this like smile on his face and just nodding his head, and after you stare at him for maybe 10 seconds, it's a long time, he finally twitches his eye, and that's when you catch him in the lie, dude. No, but
shit.
What made that game so great was it was a Rockstar game. So I'll say personally, I had that expectation where it would be like Red Dead, it would be like Grand Theft Auto, where it'd be open world. But it really wasn't like that. You played a cop or a detective in this case, and there was an open world kind of aspect to it, but more or less, you have to go around to these different locations, investigate, interview people, and all that. It had a unique gameplay in that sense where you really have to look for clues and evidence so you can prosecute in the interview room.
Yeah, and I was thinking that was mainly story based.
Exactly.
It was super good with the story, like how well intricate and developed the story became, and it tied in with a bunch of other scenarios.
Yeah, where throughout the whole time you think you're just solving random murders and all that, it ties into a bigger corruption case in the greater New York or Los Angeles area, and y'all know I love good stories. So shout outs to LA Noire. What else came out in 2011? Dead Space 2, which I think is the best Dead Space game that's out there. And then Witcher 2 came out that year as well. Something, I don't know, interesting about Witcher 2. Talk about a game with good story, but more, I want to say, controls or gameplay. That game to me was super clunky.
Oh yeah. I tried it out, and I don't know. It was just hard turning the camera, hard moving the character.
Yeah.
It just, like you're saying, it felt super clunky. Witcher 3 though, I love how how it plays out.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember when Witcher 3 was coming out, I actually went back and bought both Witcher 1 and 2 on sale on Steam. Actually, shout outs to Steam. Summer sale's going on right now.
No,
So.
fuck no, I'm gonna be poor for the
All right,
summer.
R.I.P. money, dude. R.I.P. money. But I had purchased Witcher 1 and 2 just so I can get the backstory and all that, and maybe your choices continued on to the other game, you know? And I couldn't get through it. As intriguing as the story was, Witcher 1 was just way too dated, way too clunky. I don't think you could even use a controller with that. If you could, then you had to heavily mod it, and that just fly with me. So yeah, I think that's an example of a game, great story, but kind of bad mechanics, bad controls that deter me from finishing it. If you ever need an example of that ever again. Another standout year, at least for me, man, as I'll say, is 2004, because that's when a couple of huge games in my life came out. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which was
on the PlayStation 2, right?
Yeah, exactly, which was just the culmination of Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City, where they combined all the crazy shit you can do in both games into one. Man, I spent hours playing that game. You could customize your character. You know, you could dress him up, eat a bunch of burgers, make him fat, give him an afro or a regular haircut, man. And you go to 3, 4 different cities. Go to LA, go to the deserts, you can go to Las Vegas, you can go to San Francisco. That game back then was huge, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game
I remember like everybody was playing it, but I didn't have enough money to buy that game because I think that was when we were still playing City of Heroes.
Yes, that was my next thing. The same year Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out, City of Heroes came out. So yeah, you're right, man. You're right. We were definitely playing both of those at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Another crazy thing is World of Warcraft came out the same year.
Really?
Yeah.
They both came out at the same time?
Yeah, World of Warcraft and City Heroes both came out in 2004.
Wow.
So
holy shit.
They were both direct contenders with each other, you know?
Yeah. But I don't want to lose my soul into that game where, you know, you lock yourself in the basement.
What are you talking about, man? That's what we're doing right now with Final Fantasy.
Yeah, but we gotta go out once in a while.
No, I
try to lock myself in, you know, but it's just everybody keeps calling me like, man, I just want a weekend where I could just game nonstop.
Same. No, I'm definitely the same. But how crazy this time passed. You know, it's been 13 years since then, and World of Warcraft is still around, and City of Heroes is a dust in the wind, man. Kind of wild.
Yeah, I thought World of Warcraft was gonna discontinue in like 2011 or something along the lines of that. I remember they were announcing like this will be our last DLC, and then you know there won't be any more support. But then they released like a Grim Reaper DLC and then you know that game is still going on, and there's so many players still playing that game.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But Sea of Heroes, I thought that was going to last for a long time. I was just not expecting, A, for the game to end the way it did, and B, for, you know, them to make a decision like, okay, we're just going to scrap this game and not continue it, not give it out to the public so they can create private servers. No, let's just throw away the entire game.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely feel that. It's just wild thinking back on it, how a game as big as World of Warcraft is nowadays, it's a culture, essentially. You know, there's definitely that World of Warcraft culture that Blizzard built its house upon. To think that City of Heroes could have been that is crazy, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought that Marvel and DC would start out this crazy cinematic universe like they have? You know, I think the success of that would have definitely leaked on to City of Heroes. You know, so
yeah,
they may have jumped the gun at killing that game.
Yeah, I remember. Speaking of Marvel, there's this one time I was standing in line with our friend Alan to watch Captain America 2,
Uh huh.
and there's this guy dressed up as Captain America, and he was giving us a little story of a backstory of how he got into watching Marvel movies, and he was there with his wife and kid,
Okay.
and he was like saying like he would work long hours at work and he had nothing to look forward to, and he was getting like really depressed with the way his life was going, and then until they started releasing the Marvel movies where it changed his life, where he can bring his kid along to show him the heroes that he grew up with. He can bring his wife along and they both can watch the movie. It just turned his life around, the way the Marvel and the DC universe grew into something really huge. Because back in the day, I always thought that people were like kind of like hidden nerds. They didn't want to show their nerd stuff in public.
Uh huh.
They're afraid and shy. But then now I believe it grown, like you said, to a culture, a gaming culture, entertainment culture where everyone openly expresses their interest in heroes and the universe and gamings and all that. And I think that's why Comic Con took off too. Like everyone's not afraid to say that, oh, I play games and I'm still 60 years old.
There we go.
You know,
Yeah, yeah. I feel that.
so and it was crazy too. Like I used to work with, really professionals in my previous job, and they were like my supervisor. They were like, I even met a sergeant, a police sergeant. He was like in his 50s, and he was saying he plays on Xbox 360, and it's just like the gaming culture grew so wide where it affects everybody. It doesn't affect specific types of people. It affects everybody.
Hmm.
And I'm excited for games to keep releasing, to continue to grow, and so that way we can be growing as a tight knit community in the end.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely feel that it's you don't have to be ashamed anymore to say read comic books or you play Dungeons and Dragons or you play PlayStation, Xbox, or whatever. You don't need to hide behind that. It's become pop culture now. You know, back in the day, you were a nerd really for liking Star Wars. Now look at it. The Star Wars is that huge now where everybody's a fan all of a sudden, right?
Yeah,
It's
and
kind
then
of
it's the
crazy.
opposite. They're like, "You're a bandwagon fan." I'm like, "Oh."
I mean, unless you're 60 years old and we're all fucking bandwagon fans. Honestly, man. Honest. Unless you were in the theater in 1977, get the fuck out of here, man. It's not an exclusive fucking thing that you can be
Yeah,
a part of,
yeah.
I mean, I got into Star Wars when they re-released it in the 90s or early 2000s, I believe. They re-released Star Wars in theaters, which was so funny to me, right? I mean, I would go to the theater, watch A New Hope, and then I would go home and watch Empire Strikes Back on USA, Channel 2. That's what was so
Wow.
funny to me. Like, oh, I already know what's gonna happen. But that's what got me into it. And then the prequel came out and all that stuff. But yeah, yeah, no, I definitely feel you that a lot of things that were more or less, for lack of a better word, taboo. It really wasn't something you were going out in public and bragging about.
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
it's just commonplace. With mobile devices especially, Flappy Bird, Candy Crush. It's that much more familiar, to everybody gaming it now. So yeah, it's wild. It's definitely wild to see how it's grown. Um, Last year, I kind of want to bring up here is 2007, which was a huge year too. Exactly 10 years ago, Assassin's Creed came out in 2007.
What?
Yeah, man.
Really? Holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, and the game which I think became the catalyst for making games popular culture. Uh, COD 4, Modern Warfare came out in 2007 too.
Wow.
I think
Modern Warfare 2 or Modern Warfare 1?
no, COD 4, the first one.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and I think before that, you're kind of hard pressed to find a game that was produced so well. You know what I mean? Um, and that kind of resonated with a lot of people, right? I mean, Final Fantasy always had great music. Final Fantasy has a fucking composer in their credits.
Yeah, yep.
You know what I mean? Nothing else really had that back in the day. But I'm willing to say that Modern Warfare COD 4 was one of the first AAA titles. You know, I didn't play it when it first came out. I only jumped on the bandwagon when Modern Warfare 2 came out, and I saw that commercial with that Eminem song, and it was showing the story and all that shit.
Oh, I remember with that trailer. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's when I jumped on to Modern Warfare. Um, Also came out Portal has transcended games. I think now, man. I think you can walk up to anybody and say the cake is a lie, and they'll have an understanding of what you mean. You know? Um,
yeah. I think physicists were actually looking into using Portal as a way to use experiments because the way the physics work in Portal is like similar to how things would work if we were to, use dimensions.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a sidetrack.
Really, I thought you were gonna give me a whole lesson here, man, on how Portal
Oh,
works.
no,
I was
no,
ready. I was ready. I was ready. We
no.
brought up Witcher 2 earlier. That came out in 2011. 2007 is when the first Witcher came out. Um, Bioshock came out in 2007 too, which led off into an amazing series. Super Mario Galaxy came out. Crisis came out, which became more or less the barometer for PC graphics, right? Everyone
Yeah,
talked about how, oh, does your PC run Crisis at Ultra, on Ultra settings?
yeah.
So that was a big thing to come out, a game changer too, if you will. Um, Halo 3 came out as well. That great story. I'm gonna say that's the last Halo game that I appreciate or that I'm a fan of. I don't know when ODST came out, but Halo 3 was definitely the last one that was good in my mind.
I I haven't played Halo 4. Did Halo 5 come out?
Yeah, there was a Halo 5 where they were hunting a Master Chief for whatever reason.
Shit, we gotta finish the story at least.
I don't think it's worth it, man. I think once you get to 3, you're good. I mean, shout outs to my boy Cade 6 from Destiny, Nathan Fillion. He's in Halo 5, I think. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to go through and play that. And a personal favorite, one that we spent hours on, I think that got us hanging out in person more. Rock Band came out in 2007.
Oh
And
yeah, dude.
that took the world by storm, man. Where
Yeah.
you just went to each other's house, and I remember specifically, this was in college. Every weekend, goes to someone's place and play Rock Band, man.
Yeah. And that was the thing too, like you go to people's places for a party, but it turns out they all have Rock Band lined up.
Yeah, and then you had that one friend. In my case, it was Marcel, who was super good at drums. I played
Yep.
the guitar. Someone who actually knew how to sing, sang, and the person that wasn't quite good at guitar played the bass. There were those people, and then you would be surprised when, oh man, they're playing this hard song on expert. No way, and yeah, dude, good times, man. It's funny too, thinking about where we were in our lives when all this stuff happened. So the first year I mentioned, 2011, that's when Arkham City, Skyrim, Assassin's Creed Revelations, Uncharted 3 came out. Man, I was graduating college at that point.
Oh.
Why does it feel like such a long time ago? I mean, Dead Space 2 came out that year too.
I don't know, old man. Can you enlighten me?
And then 2004, that makes sense. We were right in the middle of high school when City of Heroes came out, but we had that time to play the game. I had just gotten my first job, so I could afford game time.
I remember it was you, Marcel, and Drew, that got it. They're trying to convince me into playing City of Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember that one time we got picked up with his mom,
Uh-huh.
and his mom thought I was high. And I was like, that's the way I look. I'm just hungry. Oh, shit.
Shout out to Mrs. Watson, man. She was cool, man. She gave us rides home, every day from school. And man, I remember before winter break, Christmas break and all that, we
Yeah.
always sat in the same seats in our car when we had this SUV. And one day there were cookies left in the seats, and it had our names in it. I was like, "What? Are you kidding me, man?" Yeah, it was great, dude. Shout out to Mrs. Watson, man.
Yeah.
It's been years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense. Shout outs to Belmont Park too, man, down in Mission Beach, for being my first job and paying me like shit, bro. When I started working, minimum wage was $6.50, $6.75.
Dang. Yeah, it was $7.50 when I started at SeaWorld.
Yeah, but you know what? I was living the good life, man. I could fill up my tank on $16, and I was outro, man. Movies only cost, man. Okay, we're really
dude. I remember. Yeah, I remember that. When gas was $1.
So that was 2004. That's crazy to think that we were playing San Andreas at age 2, kind of wild. And then 2007. That's fresh out of high school, man. Playing all these games. Again, I didn't really jump on all of this initially. Maybe Rock Band, but Modern Warfare I didn't play until the second one. Assassin's Creed I didn't play for a while too. That wasn't until Grand Theft Auto 4 came out that I was really playing games like that again.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and we're gonna continue to play a lot of games in the future too.
Hell yeah, most definitely. And I mean, we're not jumping into the 90s. I mean, I don't know how much memories you have of the 90s, but
Pogs.
But video games wise, 97 was a big year too.
Mario RPG.
Yeah, I think that came out then. GoldenEye came out on N64.
Oh, fuck yeah, GoldenEye.
Final Fantasy 7 came out that year too.
Damn.
Oh, yeah, man, it's wild. There are some big years out there. I think 2007 is a crazy one, just because that's what I think games started to begin the popular culture and be a thing. And then I agree with you, as you mentioned, 2013 was a big year. That's when the console war was in full effect. And then 2017 is, games wise, is just amazing. And like you mentioned too, I think companies are just learning from the past and not inundating us with all this technical stuff and letting gamers play games.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but do you think our expectations have evolved to the point where we expect so much from the next game because of its predecessors?
Oh, hell yeah, man. There's no doubt.
Like, I just remember playing Mario and thinking this is the shit, and it was just like a simple left to right side scrolling going to the castle. That was just the goal. Now it's like I expect the game to have ultimate graphics. I expect the game to have an immersive story, to have innovative functions, and I'm like, man, what happened? I just remember, like, it was just yesterday I just wanted to play Mario, a side scroller. Now I'm like, this better have VR technology with a Ferrari, attached or something like that.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I think our expectations are high. I think what I can say my expectations are the highest for are Red Dead right now. Just because we haven't touched that game, we haven't really too much of it, so my expectations are high on that. My expectations were high on Destiny until I played it, and I kind of snapped back to a little bit more. That being said, too, I think since we've been gaming for so long and we have that experience, we could appreciate when graphics aren't that good, but the gameplay is good or the story is good.
Yeah.
Case in point, Stardew Valley.
Yep, yep. And that's pretty immersive, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Even the story is like, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to explain that kind of game. But yeah, I was just thinking that if we don't have expectations for a certain game, then our minds get pretty much blown. Like for example, I didn't know anything about Uncharted. I mean Uncharted. Yeah, Uncharted. And Last of Us.
Oh, okay.
But both games were so immersive. You know, I had no expectations of the game or how it looked or what the story is about, and my mind was blown.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's for sure. That's definitely for sure. I think that ties into our discussion we had a couple weeks ago. I think now with leaks and all that, where you hear a leak, when you finally play the game, it's or you see the game in real life, it's not as cool anymore. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's interesting. But yeah, I think that's all I got, man. You got anything else for greatest year in game?
Every year is the greatest year in gaming.
Okay, I can stand by that. I can stand by that. But yeah, so that's us for this week, man. Next week, something I'll finally want to talk about. I think we've been teasing this for 2 weeks straight, but we'll finally have some time since we're over talking about E3. We'll talk about esports, man, and whether it'll catch on popular culture like they expect it to. We'll see on that. Also, we'll get a review of. Oh no, we won't. In 2 weeks, you're going to Thing, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks away, July 1st.
Okay, so not next week, but the week after, we'll get a review of. Is it Anime Con?
Anime Expo.
Anime Expo. And I'm really interested to see or hear how it compares to
regular cons.
Well, not just that, but E3. Because it's going to be in the same building. I want to know if you felt like there were more people, less people, all this stuff. So, we got some good stuff planned for the future here on How Couch Potato, man.
Woo woo.
So yeah, without further ado, Rick, let's get some words of wisdom.
If your work offers free lunch, make sure you order a lot of beers.
All right, guys, that's it for us. We'll see you next week.